And that reminds me, I've got here's on a similar note. Here's something I've been wanting to get to from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, for quite some time.
Keir Starmer has recently come out and said, you know what? The current state of the country, I think it's beautiful. I think it's tolerant. I think it's diverse. This is Britain as envisaged
alternate
by
reality is he
the
living
Blairite
in
managerial class.
I love and have pride in my country, and I want to serve the whole of our country, our beautiful, tolerant, diverse country.
Got news for you two, Tick, here. It's not beautiful like it used to be. We shouldn't be tolerant. And diversity is not a strength, it's a weakness.
And I want to serve the whole of that country. And I was arguing against reform because reform do not believe in that country. They want to tear that country apart. What was said last week
because it doesn't fucking work.
Migrants who are lawfully here, who've been here for years, working in our hospitals, in our schools, running businesses, our neighbours.
Yes, because if we don't, white Britons are going to be a minority in their own country. They all have to go back.
Reform say they want to deport them. That would tear our country apart. We are at the moment a leading member of the coalition of the willing.
Right. So we'll pause it there, because that I think is a fascinating statement. Because what they're doing is when he says our country, we could say, yeah, your country, their country, not our country. There are two separate
their alternate reality, meta-universe version of Britain.
And honestly, you're right. Nigel Farage did not say anything of the sort. But that is actually what is kind of being pushed up by the Unite the Kingdom rally. The old Britain, before the Blairite project, still exists to a certain degree in fact, most of the country. But the new Britain that he's thinking of, where, we've brought on all of these people against your will, and now they are as important.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
They are as important as the people who have been here since Cheddar Matt.
Actually call them more important.
Well, that's
because
true.
They have protected characteristics.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And must be promoted and celebrated. And that's where he talks about
At the
diversity,
expense
that's
of
where the
white
division
Britons.
comes in.
Precisely. And so just a quick thing, this is what he recognises. He sees the modern multicultural UK Britain where no one's ever arrested, nothing works, there's not enough housing, there's not enough services, the NHS is collapsing, the fact that everyone's unhappy. That country, that was the ideal. That's how things are supposed to be. That's why Shabana Mahmood is like, oh yeah, the police are doing a great job. No, they're terrible. What are you talking about? They say they don't love our country. Well, have you looked at the state of it? Have you looked at what you've done to our country? Swindon, and I say this every time, 15 years ago, Swindon was actually quite a nice place. It was actually really quite nice.
Just for context, chat, in case you aren't a listener or daily watcher of the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, Lotus Eaters have set up their studio and their streaming facilities in Swindon. So that's why you hear Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad here, talking so frequently about Swindon, because, that's where they live, that's where they work, and that's where they have people come in as guests, such as Firas and also Ben Habib here, formerly of Reform. I mean, it's simple logic. If you're a guest in someone's home and you act up and behave poorly, you get showed out the front door. Yes, in any sort of rational, normal times, we don't live in rational, normal times, unfortunately. And so, in this day and age, we're all just expected to just sort of put up with all of that. And someone acts up and behaves poorly. You're just supposed to take it, because if you actually stand up to them and do something about it, it's considered racist, and it's considered xenophobic, and any other sort of istophobe that they can come up with. But in any normal, rational times, yes, we would show them the door, and there are a lot of people in Britain who do not need to be there. And as a matter of fact, if it doesn't stop, if even legal immigration is not halted, or at least severely curtailed, as I said, white Britons will become a minority in their own country, and that is not a good thing. It's the next step is persecution. But then again, they are ruled by people who hate them and want them dead. It's one of the reasons that every day. I'm so grateful that I presently reside in America and don't have to deal with that sort of madness. To be fair, America has its problems, as we've been seeing, but my God, it's a hellscape over there in Britain. Anyways, let's keep going.
And like, it was, not very exciting, but it was just normal and it was familiar. And there were people there who you recognized. And now it's just a wasteland of strangers from all over the world. And they've been brought here again.
Wasteland being the operative word.
I love that country. It's like, well, I'm sorry, Keir. I do want to tear that country apart. I want those people to go home. We don't know who they are. They shouldn't be here. They weren't brought here with our consent. So they can just go. And you say, okay, well,
actually, they're brought here against our consent.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because
Yeah.
there's been
Yes.
successive governments elected
Over
and over on cutting immigration, and they've done the opposite,
Every
The
man,
Labour
every
Tory
manifesto.
probably
Uniparty.
before John Major.
including this lot.
Yeah.
Who said they'd stop illegal migration. He can't even call them illegal.
Britain is is USA's immigration issues dialed up to 9. It really is. And the uniparty of Labour and the Tories, they have no desire whatsoever to do a damn thing about it. As a matter of fact, I bookmarked a few things here. Let me see. I think it was Dan from the Lotus Eaters who had this. Just got to find it. This is a good one from Catgirl Kulak. Quote tweeting Zoomer historian, 1 million British girls raped, thousands of our people murdered, millions of our people terrified to go outside, entire cities ethnically replaced, dozens of terrorist attacks, and the response, don't look back in anger. But one foreign Jewish man gets murdered, call in the SAS. And quote tweeting from GB Politics, the British Army's elite SAS have this evening been called in to support the terror probe in Manchester. More British girls have been raped than Nanking. If your response is Britain needs a revolution so horrifying, total, and soul-destroying it makes Mao look like a moderate, I really don't respect you. Western man must become something so feral that this can never happen again. And there was... trying to see if I can find it. Oh, yes, there's the signature gathering against digital ID. Nearly 3 million signatures gathered. Government response on the 2nd of October. We will introduce a digital ID within this parliament to help tackle illegal migration, make accessing government services easier, and enable wider efficiencies. We will consult on details soon. In other words, fuck all of you. Let's see. Yes, there we go. From Migration Watch, although the population of England and Wales has grown by 23% since 1981, mass demographic change in urban centres has seen the white British population collapse by up to 42%. The last time demographics in England changed so quickly and severely was the Black Death in 1348. The Black Death, centuries ago. I mean, let that sink in. And quote from Callum from the Lotus Eaters, last time demographics in England changed so quickly and severely was the Black Death in 1348. Picture of stern, shocked face of Wallace from Wallace and Gromit.
Illegal migrants. He calls them irregular migrants.
Yeah.
He doesn't see them as illegal.
And so it's like, okay, Keir, you're like, they're our friends and our neighbours. It's like, but are they though? Like, when you actually speak to any of them, is this a friend or a neighbour?
Look, part of me want the British to go back to being an empire again. At least things were safe. I mean, things were relatively safe, even sort of post-empire, post-colonial, during, when we started to have the Commonwealth, which is really just the remnants of the British Empire. I agree. I think empire and colonialism were overall a net benefit for the entire world. It certainly just absolutely brought out the best overall in Britain. And it was a time when we were a strong and proud people. And, we sort of gave all that up because we just felt guilty. I mean, even some, 30 or so years ago, things were safe. Britain was in good shape. Things were prosperous, and we had a sense of order to things, and it was a good time to be British. But we pissed all of that away, starting with the Blairite revolution, and we've just been on steady decline ever since. And of course, some could argue that the managed decline just kept up after World War II, and certainly a good argument can be made for that. But yeah, the only thing is that empires can be expensive. Empires can be very expensive to maintain. But I think more than anything, people just want to get back to where things were safe. And at this point, mass deportations, even of people who are in Britain legally, but not of native British stock, they have to go back. It is getting to that point. Native white Britons cannot become a minority in their own country. We think it's bad now. The persecution and systemic racism and oppression is only going to get ratcheted up over time. And it in turn will cause not just civil unrest, but also uprisings and another civil war. And it's going to be even dirtier and nastier and bloodier than anything else that we've seen in the history of Britannia.
War was to break out, would you fight for this country?
Absolutely no way. This ain't my
Fuck
country.
no.
I might be a British citizen, but I'm here just to live and be at peace. I'm not here to...
It's an economic zone for him. He doesn't care. It's just a place he can come to and leech substance off of. This is... I mean, you heard it. You heard it, chat. He doesn't regard... This man of foreign stock does not regard Britain as his country, and he's supposedly a citizen. That's madness. People like him, if that's his attitude, he has to go back. Simple as.
fight no one else's battles, you know what I mean?
So some people might...
Right, there we go. I mean, you couldn't get it any more crystal clear. This ain't my country. It's like, yeah, I agree. I agree that this is not your country. Why
Yes,
are you
it's not
here
your country.
against my will?
What the fuck are you even doing here at this point?
They will just come out and say to you that they don't really consider themselves to be of this place. It's like, okay, fine. I mean, this isn't someone who's going to get deported by Nigel Farage anyway, so it's not, great example.
This is where
Which is unfortunate, because that is probably what needs to happen. And I think it's even more ironic that you've got Ben Habib, gentleman of Jewish descent, and you've also got Firas, Jordanian descent, both of them, in effect, immigrants, so I think Ben was actually born in Britain. Even they are in agreement on this attitude, and they've come to regard Britain as their country. I mean, at least they've got the right attitude about things.
30 years of this project has led us.
Yes.
They have deliberately set aside the nation state and any belief in the nation state. You started this program talking about how they wanted to attack farmers because they represent a line of continuity to our past. They connect us with our past.
They really
and they're
do.
setting it aside. So you get young men like this who actually don't realize
They want to
how
get rid of that sort of continuity and seize farmland and sell it off to the highest bidder, namely private equity like BlackRock and Vanguard.
bloody lucky they are to be British citizens, what a privilege it is, and actually the obligations which go with it, which are being prepared to stand up for this country.
And the lack of honor implied in, okay, I'm getting great things from this place, but I just want to live here, I don't want to fight for it.
I mean, this kid would have been born and raised here.
Yeah.
He wants all the rights, but none of the
And his view is,
responsibilities.
This ain't my country. It's like, okay, where do you think you're from?
Yeah.
And like Nigel, like he's not going to be under the indefinite leave to remain. I reckon he was born and raised here. I don't know, obviously. So, but this attitude, if this is pervasive in migrant or minority communities that have been here for decades now,
Yes.
well, then how can you expect anyone who's just got off the boat in the Boris wave to give a damn about the country? Like, this is ridiculous.
They won't.
And Keir Starmer's like,
That's
we
just
can't
it.
have this guy deported. It's like, why?
Why not?
Sorry, why?
Why not?
Why not? They're not.
I mean, has it occurred to Nigel or anyone else? You can just do things, and especially once you get rid of membership with the European Commission on Human Rights, and you seize the necessary powers to do so, you can just do things. And Some people will piss and moan about it. They're going to do that anyway, no matter what you do. You can't win with them, so fuck them. Just do things. Get it done. And we'll sort out the consequences and everything else later.
Integral to the fabric of the country, and yet that's his position. He's like, no, he thinks this is fundamentally a racist policy, which I think is a fantastic
We don't
angle
care.
attack that hasn't been used before. And I think this is...
We really don't care, you fucking wanker, you.
I know, we've never heard that
This
accusation bandied about before.
It's very novel, and I think it's really going to turn Labour around in the polls.
It's one thing to say we're going to remove illegal migrants, people who have no right to be here. I'm up for that. It is a completely different thing to say we are going to reach in to people who are lawfully here and start removing them. They are our neighbours.
Again,
They're
that's not
people
what
who
Farrell
work
said.
in our economy. They are part of who we are. It will rip this country apart. And if you're patriotic, you want to serve the whole of your country.
pause for a
Everybody
second?
in your
Yes, but...
But as we've just seen, they don't want to do
The
that.
transition from their part
No
of
one's
our
willing to put in the
economy
work.
and the complete lack of mention of loyalty, belonging, identity. So this is the materialist mind at work. This is why you and I have that other disagreement. This is the materialist mind at work. It is incapable of viewing things that can't be quantified, measured, put a price on. Because he's a materialist, he can't process things like loyalty,
But
beliefs, identity.
Our form of government has been entirely materialist for at least the 30-year period. You know, they
And
all talk about...
look what the fruits of that are. I mean, just look at what the fruits of that are. Materialism has done absolutely fuck all for the fundamentals of Britain. I'm sorry, you cannot have a truly prosperous, safe and free country without some sense of loyalty and duty behind it. You just can't. If Britain actually does master port, it's going to need to shore up its armed forces. You're going to have anarchist types causing problems. Oh, absolutely. But that would also require the British government not turning their own military against their citizens, which at this stage, with the people who are running the government, if you think they're not going to turn the army, the Royal Marines, the Royal Navy, the RAF, the SAS, if you think they're not going to turn those guns on the native white British population, you are deluding yourself. I mean, we already saw yesterday with, actually I responded to this bloke's tweet, quote tweeted that, and go back and take a look at it here. Yeah, Firas Madad, he had an episode of Brokenomics with Dan, and he warned the next step in Lebanization of Britain is for different communities to set up checkpoints for self-defense. And he's informed it's already happening on a large council estate that's 90% white, where local men are standing guard to make sure unknown foreign men do not enter the estate, because there was at least one attempted rape on the estate and multiple incidences of harassment. As the police fail, people take their security into their own hands. Eventually, the foreign men are going to gang up, locals will use makeshift arms, and the issue is going to escalate. He says, I support the British right for a simple reason. I know how this story plays out. I know the consequences of this experiment. My family saw them in Lebanon and in Jordan. We ended up in civil wars because similar experiments were run. Excess tolerance combined with a loss of state authority led to disaster. In Lebanon, an entire generation was lost to civil war. The country has yet to fully recover. He said there's still time to fix this within the democratic political process, but that window is closing fast. And I responded, which he was kind enough to give it a like, said it won't just be ethnic conflict. Majority white British communities that set up these checkpoints will face the full might of both the police and military forces, and don't think for a second that the government won't use them. They will, and they will smirk with glee as they do it. Because as it stands right now, the people that rule over in government, that rule over the British population, especially the white British population, they hate them and they want them dead and replaced with these more compliant, controllable, easily manipulated, sectarian, brown and black populations from God only knows where in some third world shithole. That's who they see as the ideal voter, and that's who they see as somehow being the real British. And they're not. They never have been, and they never will be.
The economy, and of course the economy is critically important for our prosperity, but actually the economy needs to serve the constitution, the culture and the people of the country.
Right.
And it needs to alter its behavior from time to time depending on the circumstances of the country.
Yes.
And they don't get that.
No, because there is no conception of man having value as man and a nation having value as a nation.
Yeah.
There is only a conception of GDP, which even then...
Yeah, the only thing they care about is GDP. Everything else is just an obstacle in their perverted globalist utopian vision for things.
They get completely wrong with their tax policies and
GDP
with their
per
climate
capita.
policies and all of that.
GDP per capita should be a metric they understand, but they can't even get their heads around that because
Then all discussion of per capita is prohibited.
But actually, he's actually kind of transcending that with what he's saying here, right?
Right.
So notice how he's identifying a moment in time,
Yes.
the now, and saying, look, if you love the country as it is now, then what you have to do is accept all of these millions of foreigners that have been brought in against our will and
Yes.
without any kind of appeal to the electorate whatsoever.
Yes.
Well, they are a core integral part of the country. He literally just said they are just as important, and as you say, more important than the actual native people of the country. And so you can't just remove lawful people because they are, again, appeal to the system of law, that they are as constituent to modern Britain
as everyone else.
They've
set aside citizenry.
Yes.
That's what they've done. And the root cause, I'm afraid, goes back to Tony Blair with the Human Rights Act,
completely.
which basically
Yes.
put everyone on level pegging.
So
and then
much
the
of it
Equality
goes
Act
back
put
to the
those with
Blairite
protected
experiment.
characteristics on
Above
a pedestal
everyone else.
above everyone else.
But what is Keir saying here? Keir is saying, literally, if you get off a boat and we hand you a passport, you are just as important to this country as any other person who is in this country.
And
Like
you're
the guy
not,
who was the descendant
actually.
of Cheddar Man, who was found within a mile and a half of Cheddar Gorge, where Cheddar Man was discovered. It was a
Yes.
1,000-year-old body. Like, his connection to Britain is materially and substantively and morally identical to, this guy's, who's, his parents probably arrived here.
Or Axel
20 years ago.
Rudolph
Axel Rudolph
who is a Welshman,
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
told by the Prime
Yes.
Minister.
And he thinks it's completely immoral because foreigners are a constitutive part of Britain. He can't imagine or justify a Britain that isn't predicated on foreign people here as well. And so, okay, well, that's what Keir Starmer thinks that the UK actually is. And so he's like,
He's
well, I
wrong,
think
but
it's a
that is
racist
what he
policy. What's
thinks.
the rest of this? Because he's very, very het up about
your
this.
country and have an ability to bring that country together and walk forward towards the challenges. You cannot do that if you are divisive, if you only truly want to serve.
Walking forward towards the challenges. What happened to running towards the challenges, Keir? What happened to running towards the challenges? Or are you too weak and inept to even manage that? I think we know the answer to that question already.
Of our country, and that's why the fight with reform is different. Most elections have always been Labour or Conservative. This is a different election that we're facing. We have not had a proposition like reform in this country ever before. We've seen it in France and Germany and plenty of other countries. This is a different fight. It is a fight about who we are as a country. It goes to the soul of our future. It will be
He's
heard
scared.
and the
He's
effects
scared of
will be
them.
there for generations, and that's why I'm saying to my party, it's all very well navel gazing, but we've got a big argument to make here. We've got a big fight that we've got to be in, and we've got to win that fight.
You said that.
So that absolutely correct, because what he's identifying is, and this comes down to the rally, is the natives of the country who have been abused via mass immigration. They've had millions and millions of foreigners brought here against their will, and they've finally said, no, we've had enough. We would like a lot of these people to go home because they have homes to go to. And Keir Starmer's like, right, that's it. That's the end. The end of multiculturalism is here. The end of the Blairite project is here. And he is fully committed to the foreigners over the British people. He's completely
It
committed.
always
to
has been.
And this is why he's like, yep, in ending indefinite leave to remain
This
a
is another brick in the wall for the argument of they hate us and they want us dead. They care more about foreigners than they do the actual native population. And this has been readily apparent for years now, to the point where the native population doesn't feel like they even have a country anymore. Like, they're there, but it's not theirs per se. And to claim it is would be somehow something awful, something racist, or something xenophobic, when nothing could be further from the truth.
Racist policy, and we need to call it out for what it is, because again, this is going to be so successful. But just again, like, you've just got so many examples of
this is in Glasgow.
People want these people sent home. Sorry, this
Pakistani
is a
migrant,
and she's just going to throw her rubbish in the river. Like, I'm sorry, I view that akin to like when they're going, "Oh my God, they vandalized a mosque." Yeah, well, this to me,
that is illegal what she's just done.
Sure.
Yes,
it's also spiritually damaging to me. What are you doing, woman?
Disgusting.
It's disgusting, right? It's complete.
Dumping your trash in the River Clyde. Nothing epitomizes the saying, import the third world, become the third world, than this. And I think Sagan actually had an interesting tweet about this, saying this woman sees no problem with what she's doing. In fact, she sees everyone else who has a problem with it as the strange ones, as the weird ones who have the issues. She thinks it's there, I'm taking advantage, and you'd be a fool not to. And she looks upon everybody else who has respect for the cleanliness of the River Clyde as being absolute fools. When really the problem is, she should never have been in Scotland or in Britain in the first place. She has to go back. We can't live with people like this. We can't live with Pakis who think that it's okay to pollute our rivers just like they pollute the rivers where they come from, because it's somehow somebody else's problem to keep the rivers clean. No, it's all of our problems. This belongs to everybody, and it's up to us to take care of it and maintain it and keep it clean. And because she cannot and will not understand that, we can't live with people like this. She has to go back. Full stop. Simple as. Because you know as well as I know that it's not just dumping rubbish in the River Clyde. It's just like with broken windows policing. It is a symptom of bigger problems. First, it's dumping rubbish in the River Clyde. Then it's looking the other way as her hellion terroristic children grow up and then go around and start terrorizing young white British girls and thinking in the name of Islam it's okay to harass and to grope and grab and rape these girls. And the activist types will call us evil for simply sending them home. Yeah, they'd call us evil anyway, no matter what we do. You can't win with them, so fuck them. Send them home anyway. They have to go back.
Completely unacceptable. And it's a person who doesn't care about this country, who doesn't want to be here, and is just here because we're going to be paying her to be here. That's what it comes down to.
It's not that she doesn't care about this country. It's that she would do the same in her own.
Yes.
And she thinks that you're naive for not doing the same.
Yes.
You're naive for paying your council tax and having your rubbish collected by the council and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. You're naive for carrying your rubbish around and then placing it in the proper bin.
What ultimately will happen, as that ex-post indicated, was that we will end up being like the third world.
Yes.
So if you import the third world, you become a...
The River Clyde will become a lifeless stream of sludge, of just trash and shit and piss and all these other nasty things, untreated sewage, and God only knows what else, and it'll ruin the ecosystem because these people don't fucking care, because they don't see it as they see it as somebody else's problem. It's like, no, we pay taxes to keep places like this clean, and we expect it to stay clean. And if you try to pollute our rivers and try to trash our ecosystem, then you are going to pay a heavy price for that. Send the activists with them, let them be enriched. Yeah, if they have no love or loyalty for the country that they've invaded, send them back. Let them be where their heart belongs. If in their heart of hearts they're Pakistani, send them back to Pakistan, or wherever the fuck they claim to be from.
Third world.
Precisely, yes. Yes.
It's just straight. I mean, I can't even imagine how much I'd flip out if I saw my kids throwing their rubbish into the river.
And I'm just going to bring up another.
I don't have children, but any of mine did something like that. They would be flogged publicly. I'd have no problem doing it. Flog them publicly. It's like, you little bastards, how dare you? Have you no respect for the land that we call home? Especially if they did it over there in the land of my ancestors. That's just... We're not having that. We are not having that. I have no intention of raising children to be slobs. My children are going to clean up after themselves and conduct themselves as proper, good, upstanding members of society. I will not have them behaving like savages. And what we saw with that Paki woman over there, that was savagery. We're not having that.
Example that I've noticed, I don't know if you gents have noticed it, but the .gov.uk website used to be written quite well. You might have disagreed with all the draft bills that were on it.
Sure.
But now the grammar is terrible, the punctuation is terrible, and we can laugh. But
Yes, because the ruling elites have come to view proper grammar and syntax and everything else, and good spelling, and diction, and proper pronunciation, even the received pronunciation, as somehow racist, and so they want to get rid of it. They want to decolonize the language. In other words, they want to turn everyone into blithering idiots and make them all sound like actual fucking savages. Yoslove03, thank you for the follow over on Kick.
It's the decay of standards.
It's the decay of standards, and we're seeing it visibly now taking place in our country.
Quite. Yes, very much so.
There was it the Conservative?
The thing that always sold British voices to the world was the fact that we are so well-spoken. It's not just a funny accent. It is the way things are said with such authority and elegance and grace that is the envy of the entire world. And now you've got people in the British government that are so ashamed of that they would destroy it. That they would destroy something so critical to British identity, the very way we speak and the way we conduct ourselves in written communication.
Keep posting things written in American English on their Twitter feed. Yeah, I don't know whether you've noticed that.
I haven't.
They're getting American advisors to help them.
And not just that, it's because the Zoomers are just online and they just imbibe American culture.
Right.
I mean, in some ways that can't be helped just because the globalization effect of communications and all. I mean, even I do it. I live in America, so there's a lot of Americanisms in my communication. Probably a lot of American slang that you wouldn't expect. But, I do try to keep some of the old ways alive. In some ways it can't be helped. But what Ben Habib is talking about, it can be helped, and it needs to be reversed. And part of that can be done by the UK government firing their American advisors.
The Conservatives would be very particular about British spelling.
It's about standards.
It's about standards, and you are right. These are just falling everywhere. Anyway, so Rachel.
I mean, I do a bit of a mix, like quotation marks, for example. Very often I'll use the double quotation marks. I had to do them for my journalist days because I worked in American media, and so I had to follow those standards. But with spelling, I try to use the British form of spelling. So colour, for example, is the American spelling for that is C-O-L-O-R, but the British version is C-O-L-O-U-R, and I try to honour the British spelling as much as I can. So sometimes you will see a bit of a mix of that, of American-style punctuation, but with British spelling.
Reeves went on LBC to explain, because Keir Starmer argued that, the policy is racist, and so are the people who vote for the policy racist. Now, that's not wise. Was it this one? I can't remember. I did.
Which, of course, she's going to say yes.
But the tactic of saying, look, you people who are voting overwhelmingly for Farage and not for us are a bunch of racists, it didn't work for Hillary. It didn't bring them back to your position.
Yeah, it's the basket of deplorables all over again.
And so now they're in the unfortunate and awkward position of having to defend calling Nigel Farage's policy racist, but not the people who like Farage's policy.
How can you support a racist policy and not be racist?
I think it is a racist policy, and let me tell you why.
I understand that, but how can... It doesn't matter whether I do. But how could one support a racist policy and not be racist?
People support the Reform Party for all sorts of reasons.
This policy, Chancellor, these policies as regards deportations. If you support a racist... I cannot see if you support a racist policy how you're not racist yourself, no?
Because people support the Reform Party for all sorts of different reasons, often not even knowing the detail of this the policies. But this policy is a racist policy, and you'll have lots of listeners
I do.
Who might be at work today sitting next to somebody who wasn't born in this country. Their next door neighbour might not have been born in this country. They might be married to somebody who wasn't born in this country.
They have to go back.
And what Nigel Farage and the Reform Party are saying is that they would deport those people.
Yes.
So I love.
Just go on and say it, Rachel. Just go on and fucking say
so
it.
much.
You think they're all just a bunch of deplorable racists. You just think that they're all a bunch of deplorable racists and that they all just need to be marked for extermination or thrown into a gulag somewhere and forgotten about. Just go on and fucking say it already. We know that's what you're thinking. You're trying so hard not to say it, but we know that's what you're fucking thinking. Because it's what you all say to yourselves behind closed doors. I'll admit some ways of saying some words were better in the classic English military ranks especially. Yeah, it's sort of like the difference between lieutenant and lieutenant. I'll see lieutenant, but make that switch in my mind and oftentimes refer to someone as lieutenant.
Because one, she doesn't answer the question, but two, they assume that people think that's a bad thing to hear. Right? By the way, Nigel Farage, you know those foreigners who moved in next door to you? Nigel Farage is going to deport them. Oh, fucking brilliant. Thank God. Because they throw
Fine
their
a
rubbish
fucking
in the
Lee.
fucking streets. They make loads of noise at the evening. They're not polite. I'm worried about their intentions with my daughters. Like, people might hear this and be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, she's doing him more
You've
than a
already
justice.
sold us, Rachel. You don't have to
That's
sell
my
us
point as well.
anymore.
I wanted to come to. They have this caricature of Farage in their head, which is just not true.
It's just not true.
And it's a real shame.
We wish it were true.
Yes.
We fucking
But so
wish
the
it were
point is,
true.
you can see the sort of exhaustion in their faces, Rachel Reeves in particular.
We've had to do the same thing with Nigel and reform that we've had to do with Trump, of trust the plan, but chimp out. Because it seems that when we do that, we actually fucking get what we want. And to their credit, Nigel and reform, they actually seem to be listening. So good for them.
Till they have to contend with Advance UK, they're not going to like it.
All right.
It honestly starts to make me feel not so bad about having a membership in reform, because I had that membership and then Nigel did the whole fucky wuckies with Rupert Lowe, and I'm just like, well, fuck, there's 35 quid I can't get back.
And so Farage has kind of let them think this, because Farage, of course, did not say that he was going to do this. But and also, Starmer actually didn't say that if you, in fact, they've
Get this newspaper for only 56p. Don't like robbery.
specifically found themselves tied in knots over this. Starmer didn't
way
say
too
you were a
overpriced
racist
for the
if you
mail.
like the ending of
Fuck
indefinite
that.
leave to remain. You can't explain why you're not a racist, but he didn't say that. But the implication is that, of course, if you support ending indefinite leave to remain, you are a racist, and they're just, again, trapped on the horns of a dilemma they can't escape. But then you've got the sort of, this guy writes for the Mirror. I think he's the editor of the Mirror, isn't he? Which is a left-wing rag.
Nicky Smith?
Deputy political editor.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of opinion of the very, very rarely will they actually just come out and say these things. But for the last 20 or so years, British politicians have been too afraid of upsetting racists. The fear is at the root of many of the country's problems. So
What fucking planet do you live on, Mickey? British politicians don't give a fuck about so-called racist people, which they look at all of their constituencies, and most of them anyway, especially the white ones, as racist anyway. They write off anything they have to say, and they actively govern against their interests. It's like, no, they don't give a fuck about those people.
the country would be better if we just went harder down the woke international liberal route, and would be worse if we actually let the racists get what they want.
Do these people not have friends?
I guess not, or they've got. If they do have friends, they're all members of the same urban monoculture that all just go in lockstep with the supporting whatever is the current thing. It's fucking people, man. They live in this alternative reality ivory tower, so insulated from the consequences of their policies and their luxury beliefs and everything. They don't have to deal with this shit. like the rest of us do.
Well, I mean, he's
talk to anyone outside
he's the
of their
deputy
own
political editor
tiny
of the
circles?
Mirror, so I'm gonna guess no.
I mean, they've just swallowed the ideology hook, line, and sinker, and they can't distinguish between wanting borders, a nation-state sovereignty, the promotion of our own interests versus the global interest. They can't distinguish between those two.
Nope. Well, Keir Starmer
That's
literally
too much
doesn't.
for their
Anyone
tiny
who-
little
who literally,
brains.
if a foreigner steps off the boat, is moved in next to you, he is just as part of Britain as you are.
Every right, yeah.
Yeah. So their ideology literally.
And Tim Montgomery, I mean, is that the individual who Mikey Smith picked on?
Yes.
Tim is as wet as a
Yes.
cloth.
Yes.
You know, a
Yes.
soaking wet cloth that's been out in the rain overnight. That is Tim Montgomery.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely correct. You know, this is the thing. They're not even going on like the hard right of online discourse on this. But the thing is, let's assume that.
And those people, they have no concept of what the hard right really looks like. What they think is the hard right is really the moderate solution. I know what the hard right looks like. I've listened to what actual hard rightists have had to say. Some of it can actually be downright frightening, especially if you're coming from a more left-wing perspective. I mean, we shitpost about a lot of things here on stream, and I do that on Twitter, but actual hard extreme right-wing people, these urban monoculture leftists would absolutely shit themselves if they heard some of the things that they had to say.
Racist policy. It's also just been announced by Shabana Mahmood that that's what they'll be doing. They're going, if you want to apply for indefinite leave to remain, you're going to have to be employed and paying national insurance. You're not going to be receiving benefits. You've got to be able to speak English, have a clean criminal record.
None of this is going to be
enforced. And you've also got to do some
enforced.
volunteering work. So they've gone further than Nigel Farage on this.
None of this is going to be enforced, though. They're not going to enforce any of this. They say they're going to do all this. They're either going to quietly get rid of it, or they'll just never enforce it.
This one is quite insidious, the volunteering.
Right, isn't it
Because
just?
any mosque can write you a letter saying that you're volunteering for some kind of thing.
And what a low bar.
Yeah.
What a low
Yes.
bar to remain in this country forever.
Yes,
Just be a criminal.
Yeah.
You got to pick up on what Shabana Mahmood is doing here. So any
Empowering the network.
exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Meanwhile, if you're not a migrant, but you actually want to obtain British citizenship, the bar is so fucking high that it's nigh on impossible for some people. It's pathetic.
You have to know how she thinks.
See, I had a lot of people asking me, why have you got a Middle Eastern guy on your show? I'm like, because he knows how they think.
Yes.
It's all good.
You're a double
You're
agent.
hanging there, but it's all good.
No, he's our guy. Anyway, yeah, but you are right. That is
No, Fidesz
absolutely
is one of
empowering
ours.
the networks.
Yes.
Right? And so it's
She's thought about this.
Yeah.
She's doing something.
And of
quite
course, what she
deliberate.
hasn't said, which a good lawyer would pick up on, is that in order to continue to qualify for indefinite leave to remain, you must remain in employment and you must not take benefits.
Quite.
You know, she's just drawn a line in a point in time.
But the thing is, from getting indefinite leave to remain to getting citizenship, it's just 1 year.
I know.
So even that,
The
would be
whole
a
system.
still low bar.
We need to scrap indefinite
Yes.
leave to remain, and we need to suspend granting British citizenship. It's got to stop.
completely. No, we don't need any more.
No.
And the thing is, the argument, we need immigration. Well,
the
okay.
the only people that we need to fast track British citizenship to is people who can prove and make a definite case that they've got some sort of ethnic tie to the UK. Doesn't matter if that tie comes from England, from Scotland, from Wales. I mean, hell, even I'd settle for like Northern Irish or something like that at this point. As long as there's that ethnic tie, a provable ethnic tie, you know, take a DNA test or something like that. That should be what they let in. Those are the people they should be letting in.
If we've had 25 years of immigration, we've got 15 million people up. Are things better or worse? Is it, the numbers are low.
Productivity through the floor, wages through the floor, GDP per capita through the floor,
Services, just go on the
unemployment
street.
through the roof, dependency through the roof. I mean, there is no metric to which they can point to say their economic policies are working.
Exactly. And the state of the country. Like, get a train, drive a car.
Yeah.
The roads overcrowded. We just don't need more people. That's not the argument. But anyway, yeah. So it's from Nigel Farage's mouth to Shabuna Mahmood's ears, apparently, which is actually one of the
Apparently
things
so.
that watching the Libs cope with this. Dan Hodges, like, I've been working in politics a long time, see some bonkers stuff, but having the Prime Minister blast an opponent's policy as racist on Sunday, then getting the Home Secretary to announce the same policy on Monday is about the maddest thing I've seen at a party conference. And I've got to, there's a part of me that kind of feels bad for the kind of centrist lib types, because they are watching the schizophrenic politics play out in front of their eyes. Because all of these people would love to vote Labour. They want to vote Labour. Yes. But Labour are like, it's racist, but also this is what we're doing. And it's so, oh God, it's driving me mad.
They can't.
Like, what are they supposed to take from this? And then just to finish this off, you've got like people making the points, right? No one asked us if we wanted migrants from the third world to be our neighbours. We did not vote for this. These policies are not racist.
It was all
they are
thrust
common sense,
upon us.
And the white population of Britain is expected to be a minority by 2063 in our own ancestral land. We will not tolerate this. And that's not an unreasonable thing for the average person in Britain to think.
No,
But
it's
in
not.
any other country,
Nor is it
any other
racist.
place, it would be completely reasonable not to want your
As
country
she says,
to be
it's common
subsumed by
sense.
people from other lands. It's completely reasonable. Now, and that doesn't mean that we have to eject every single person with the slightest hint of foreign ancestry or something like that. It just means we need to get a grip on this, and we don't need to take any more people in. And any people who are here throwing rubbish in our rivers or taking advantage of the benefit system, or are like, this ain't my country, I'd never fight for it, they can go home. They can go to where they feel they belong. It's really not very controversial, I think.
Remind me to tell you about the Kuwaiti kid throwing pebbles at the swans one day.
Oh, God, just don't. Yeah, if you eat a single swan...
He has to go
deported.
back.
Sorry, go on, what were you saying?
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think they're hijacked to the point where there's no redemption through these people. Yeah. Oh, actually, the point I was going to make is that we are facing the end of Western civilization. Of course, what we're seeing in the United Kingdom is happening right across Europe.
Yes.
And unless we do reverse direction, this is the end of the UK. This is the end of civilization as we knew it when we grew up.
But it will be the civilization that they want. Right? It will be,
if you should call it that.
Yeah, if you can call it that, it will be the anarcho-tyranny.
You can't even call it that.
That's not civilization. Love the country as it is, and they want. This is the plan. This is what they've been trying to bring into being. And then when that's threatened, they close ranks and they say, "No, we're going to fight for it."
Yeah.
I know it's mad.
I'm almost feeling sorry for reform.
It's perfect for the oligarchs to have a massive underclass that can be used as a battering ram against native people. Mm-hmm. And providing a pool of cheap labor to boot. It's sort
when you realize this, and when the hurling of calling people racist stops working, that battering ram really starts to lose its effect. That's the one silver lining about all of this, is that it really starts to lose its effect when you don't really give a fuck anymore if somebody calls you racist.
of perfect for the oligarchic class. And this is what these people should be seen as. The media as the,
They're the far right, actually. The extreme policies that are being practiced by Starmer, they are far right.
They are the extremists.
On my side of the debate, we believe in democracy. We believe in freedom of speech, equality under the law.
It's about as cringe as saying Democrats are the real racist. It's just lending credence to their language and accepting their terms of debate. Don't do that.
Quaint, old-fashioned things which are just commonsensical and
they're also culturally contingent and unique.
Yes.
And
it could even go the opposite way to get called a racist, and the person just says, "Yes, do something about it." Yeah, it loses its power when you just say, "All right, guess I'm a racist then." Well, that's bad for you.
They are predicated on 1,000, 2,000 years of tradition. And
when they see that you're not going to be cowed by that, they start to get afraid. Some of them even become enraged, and they start to lose control. And that's when they start making their mistakes. And that's when you can exploit those mistakes and destroy your enemies.
Of people being hammered a concept of morality that prioritizes guilt, not shame. That's the fundamental difference. If you look at the big difference between the West and the rest, on a moral foundation, the difference is it's a guilt-based culture. It's a conscience-based culture.
Yes.
That's a direct result of what Christianity teaches, that you are to blame for the crucifixion of Christ.
Yes, and we need to get back to that, especially in Britain, in America, in all Western countries. We need a restoration of the Christian faith, of the true Christian faith, not the sort of Soylent Green Christianity that has so paused and infected everything from the Catholic Church to the Lutheran Church to the Church of England and the Anglican Church. We really need based nationalist Christianity. And sadly, a lot of that is just rare, sometimes even nigh on impossible to find in some places. I think I saw somewhere today that the new, soon to be the new Archbishop of Canterbury is a woman. And they're just, that alone is something that should not be. Women have no place in the clergy. St. Paul was adamant about that sort of thing in the New Testament, saying, let women be silent in the church, for they are not permitted to speak. Certainly not permitted to have any position of influence or authority, because we've seen what they do with it. It becomes the enshittification of our faith. When we let things like that happen, we need a masculine Christianity. We need a nationalist Christianity. We need a traditionalist Christianity that practically straight up tells people, we are going back to the old ways, and you will like it, or else. Our faith and our institutions have been corrupted long enough. It is time to go back.
And that you must atone for your own sins first. That's what makes the West function. It doesn't mean other people can't have technology. It doesn't mean that they can't have military success. It just means that they can't have this kind of high-trust, dutiful society.
It means that she doesn't feel guilty about what she does.
No, she thinks you're an idiot for not doing the same.
We're all trying to improve ourselves. We're self-policing under that Christian heritage.
Yes, precisely.
So I'm going to go through some comments. There are a bunch of people who said, I joined Advance a few weeks ago. Will happily stand as a candidate if you need me.
Thank you. Please email into info@advance.
Yes. Right now there's a trifecta of organizations that we need to be supporting, especially in the run-up to any possible election in 2029. There's Reform, Advance, and Restore Britain. Those three in particular, we need to be supporting, because right now they are about our last best hope to save Britain from the failures of the Blairite experiment and from the Labour-Tory uniparty. So please, I implore you, chat, learn about Reform, learn about Advance. If you can support them in some way, please do so. Also Restore Britain, because these particular organizations, the hour is late and they're about our last hope.
uk.org.uk.
There we go.
What was that again?
info@advanceuk.org.uk.
There we go. There are lots of people who are not happy with Keir Starmer. For the sake of time, I'm going to have to summarize those as, join the club. The Democrats in the US were accused of importing illegals in order to boost their voting bloc. What's the opinion of barring first gens from voting or holding office in the UK to combat corruption?
Yes.
Well, to be honest,
third gens.
Yeah,
all the way to third, I would argue.
To be honest with you, it doesn't matter how many generations. If you don't have British ancestry, you shouldn't be allowed to vote in Britain. I
Simple as.
Sort of
full stop. Well said.
Well, you know who is allowed to vote? British citizens, Irish citizens, and members of the Commonwealth.
Mad, isn't it?
It is insane.
It's absolutely mad. They've got their own country.
Insane. Completely.
Yeah, that also never really made much sense to me. It's like, okay, you're in the Commonwealth, go vote in your country. Don't vote in British elections. No. I don't care that you're a member of the Commonwealth. You don't have a vested interest in the way things are run in Britain. So no, stick to your own elections and your own voting and your own democratic processes in your own countries.
Completely insane.
Yeah. Why we allow a single Irishman then?
But seriously,
I know, I'm not even joking. But
why are the Irish voting in our elections?
They've got their own country. The Commonwealth, they've got their own countries. Sorry, what are we doing here, folks?
Absolutely.
It's suicidal. It's suicidal.
But the thing is,
look, I can get it if you live in Northern Ireland, because it is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. But anywhere else, no. It's just no.
As well, like the ancient Athenians had what they called metics, right, which is a class of foreign people who ran businesses and traded in Athens, right? And these people were not politically enfranchised, obviously, because they were there to take advantage of the prosperity that the Athenians had established. And that's fine.
Yeah,
you come, you work, you pay taxes, you earn money. That's fine. That's not a problem. Why should you
Yeah,
be
no
voting?
issue there.
Why should you be in the
Well, look at the UAE. They have 3 million foreigners working in Dubai, but they absolutely rule that place with an iron rod.
I don't want to be quite that far, but
No,
yeah.
but those foreigners.
I mean, it may come to that.
They can be turfed out any second.
Yes.
And Dubai's culture.
It may yet come to that.
Paramount.
People keep moving there. People keep moving there for a reason, right? I mean, like, didn't Isabel Oakeshott run over there?
She did. She saved 150,000 in VAT on school fees.
Yeah, a lot of UK citizens have been running off to the UAE and to Dubai because they can afford it, and it's actually cheaper. And yeah, because they want to save on income taxes and VAT.
God, I hate the government so much.
Materialists can't distinguish between having property rights, which you would have as a Matic in Athens,
Of course.
or as a resident in Dubai, and having political rights.
Can I just?
These are two separate things.
This is a hot off the press disclosure, in the sense that I have been approached as leader of Advance UK by many British citizens now living in Dubai, living in Italy, some in Portugal, saying, Ben, we need you to succeed. How can we help you so we can come home?
Yes. Wonderful.
But they've left. These are people who love this country.
So many
Yeah, they're native Britons. They love their country, but they can't fucking afford to live there because the bloody taxes are so high. It's been that way for decades. We've got so many British expats who live in Europe and other parts of the world, and they do it for tax reasons, primarily. Because if they go back home for any span of time, they're going to be taxed, and it's going to be just an absolute arse raping in terms of what they have to pay compared to if they just stay where they're at. It's like they built good lives for themselves as part of the diaspora, but they love to come home. I mean, personally, I would love to go home to Britain. I would love to live there. Maybe even, get myself a small place in Scotland where a lot of my ancestors are from. I'm the descendant of Highlanders, and, when I was last in Edinburgh, it felt like home. It felt wonderful being there. I even felt the same thing to a certain extent when I was traveling through York. But Scotland, to me, really feels like home. And I could be happy there and build a comfortable life. I don't like the tax situation in the UK. I also don't like the current political situation. And I don't want to have to worry about getting a knock on the door from the constables and being let off in handcuffs because somebody didn't like a tweet that I put out on X. As long as I stay here in America, I don't have to worry about any of that. My cost of living is manageable. Tax situation, not ideal. And I actually have real fucking freedom of speech to say what I want and shitpost on the internet and not have to worry about being sent off to jail, being sent to prison for a fucking tweet by a bunch of contemptuous judges and people in the judicial system that don't deserve to be there in the first place, that I don't recognize their authority, and I find them to be completely illegitimate in their authority. So people like what Ben is referring to, I am legion, for we are many.
And have been forced abroad.
Dan's like, if they do, I can't remember what it was, unrealized capital gains or something. He's like, look, I'm just going to have to leave the country. That's how great.
Before they do
Jesus,
it.
the unreal.
Before they do it.
Yeah. And so, it is insane how this country is run. And one day, we will have a government that prioritizes the British people.
It'll be the next government.
Well,
without a shadow of a doubt,
God
the
willing.
next government will be a
That is our
pro-British
hope
government.
and prayer.
What I
but
can't
it might be led by
predict is-
Nigel Farage.
It can't be if it's to be pro-British.
I know. That's what. Anyway, let's carry on.
That's what concerns us all. And you have to understand, for context, chat, Ben Habib used to be close associate of Nigel Farage. Like Rupert Lowe and so many other people, his star got a bit too bright, and he had some different ideas of his own, and Nigel wasn't having it. That's why I say, if people can learn to just be content with working behind the scenes, but making damn sure Nigel gets all the credit, they may stand a chance. But Nigel Farage is still his own worst enemy. He may yet still be the next Prime Minister of the UK, and he's certainly a damn sight better than two-tier wanker Keir, but he's got a lot of flaws that could very easily prove to be his undoing.
Cyberball says, I wish Farage was half the hard right-wing monster the Guardian readers of the world think he is.
Don't
and that's
we
really
all?
The issue. Like, the thing is, right, Farage is not that right-winger, but they know that logically there entails a kind of right-wing that is the opposite of what they're doing. So they're like, no, we're going to take advantage of the British public for as much as they can. We can squeeze as much out of them as we can, and we're going to funnel it to our client groups, the foreigners who we bring over, or the minorities, or whoever. And they realise that actually there could be a right-wing antithesis to this,
Yes.
which is, oh, we're going to put the British people first, and you're going back to the margins. You know, the vast majority of this country are hardworking, patriotic, normal people who just get up, go to work, send their kids to school, pay their taxes, pay their mortgages, and do the right thing every day. And if they had substantive representation, then, and they were like the majority of what you would see, if they were proportionally represented in the political system, on TV, wherever, you would hardly ever hear from the weird fringe or the foreigners or diversity or minorities, whatever it is. You'd hardly hear from this. And they're worried that actually that kind of government could come into place. And Farage, they believe, embodies that, but of course he doesn't.
He doesn't.
In any way, shape, or
No.
form.
Yeah.
I think they just they spend the rest of the segment reading super chats. So we'll go ahead and give that a like, and I'm going to post this across all chats. Here's the link to the clip from Podcast The Lotus Eaters. Go give it a watch, give it a like, go support the lads. If you can afford it, if it's in your budget, go be a premium member of Lotus Eaters, because they've got a lot of premium content that's really good.